Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms. Today, we're featuring Great Hearts, Texas on sachartermoms.com and on our social media channels at sachartermoms. The reason is that open enrollment is going to start November 1st for Great Hearts, Texas schools. And there's a handful of them here in San Antonio to talk about Great Hearts academics and student life and how enrollment works. We have two amazing guests. So below me on the screen is Monet Lessner, and she is the executive director of special student services at Great Hearts, Texas. And then across the screen from me is April Hufty. She is the senior director of enrollment and engagement for Great Hearts, Texas. Thank you, Monet and April, for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so first question is going to go to Monet. So for people who aren't familiar with Great Hearts yet, can you explain kind of the mission and vision? Like, what does Great Hearts offer that's unique?
Absolutely, and I could talk about this for a long time, but I'm going to try to keep it brief. What makes us unique as a public charter is that we have a very specific model. We have a classical liberal arts education for all students, and that means a lot of things that would take me a long time to describe. But I think one thing that's really unique about it is as we're developing students with really high academic expectations, we also just want them to become good human beings. So there's a lot just that's woven into their academic day that we just think is really good for their soul. And we want them to grow into just lifelong learners that recognize beauty and just seek good things out and continue to pursue truth. And those are three words that you hear all the time from Great Hearts: truth, beauty, and goodness. But we mean it, and it's woven into a lot of the things that we do.
Yeah, well, so that's great. I know it's hard to summarize, but like that gets it about as short as you can and still be meaningful. So I want to ask both of you. But Bunny, since I have you on the big screen, I'll ask you first. If you could talk about your role at Great Hearts, Texas, and then sort of what insights have you gained through that role about the strength of the education model. And Monet, I know you've had different roles over the years. When I first met you, you were a reading specialist, right?
Roles, because I think they've given me just a unique insight into the organization and into the particular model, and especially having started when we opened 10 years ago. So I did start as a reading specialist, and then I was a 504 and MTSS coordinator, and then became an assistant headmaster. All of this at the Monte Vista School. As a reading specialist, I taught at both the upper and lower school. And then as a coordinator, an assistant headmaster, and then finally a headmaster. That was all at the lower school. I actually just administration had never been something that I thought was going to be something that I pursued. And Great Hearts really changed my mind. I think that when I first came on, after being a special education teacher for many years in a large district, I was working with students, and I just thought to myself continually, like, this education is changing the trajectory of student lives. It's changing them academically. It's changing how they discourse. It's changing how they see the world. It's changing how they see others. It's changing how they express themselves. They have different eyes to see the world. And so I just myself became more and more invested. And now I'm serving in an executive director role. And a big part of my role is working with special student services. And so those are all of our kids on special education plans, 504 plans, our students that are English language learners, our students that receive counseling or are at risk. And I think one of the most beautiful things about us is that we are a public school, that we have this model that for many would not be something that they could access because it's usually really expensive. and we're offering it to all students. And I have just watched students with all kinds of different needs and backgrounds really flourish. And can just, like I said in the beginning, like we just want to develop really, really just good human beings. And I've just seen that happen again and again in my different roles.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's beautiful that Great Hearts includes special education students, like as a public school. And I can speak as a a founding parent at Great Hearts Monte Vista, and my son on the autism spectrum, in 2014 came to Great Hearts and was treated with high expectations and treated with love, and that was really changed the course of his life, to be like pushed to excel, but in a way with love, that he felt a sense of belonging at Great Hearts. So I'm really thankful for the foundation that he got at Great Hearts Monte Vista while you were part of the team there. So thank you. Okay, so I'm going to let April have a crack at that question as well. So April, can you talk about your role at Great Hearts Texas and kind of how it's changed over time? What insight that's helped you gain about the classical education model?
Yes, much like Monet Lessner, I sought classical education for my three girls. I'm a Great Hearts parent, and I take that role very seriously. Just trying to offer and choose. We have school choice now, and so we get to choose where we have a lot of options. And I was homeschooling my oldest daughter, kinder through fourth grade, and I really felt like I was being led to a different chapter in my life. And at the time was teaching her through a classical education. Classical Conversations is a big a community here, and I ultimately was looking at options and found Great Hearts, and realized that this is an education that that I'm seeking out, that I want, and it's for free. And I couldn't believe that it existed. And so ultimately it became something that was great for both me and my oldest daughter. She is now a senior at Monte Vista North, and I'm just so proud of that, and just how she will finish that accomplishment and with great strides, and couldn't be prouder of that. I also have two that have entered Monte Vista South at sixth grade and third grade now, and really that is the mission behind my position here at Great Hearts. I want to tell other people about what Great Hearts offers, and the great thing is you don't have to spend a lot of money to get this education. You don't have to spend anything beyond school supplies and the uniform. And it's really neat that this organization exists here in Texas, and we're quickly growing and offering it to more and more students year over year. I started out at Northern Oaks as a teacher in second grade, and then moved it into the office staff. And I really felt like that was home for me, is just that admin side, talking to parents and educating them about Great Hearts, getting them registered. And I can't tell you how many people felt like they won the lottery. And it was just neat to be a part of that connection and getting them in. And then launching Forest Heights. I was the first DCO in Texas, Director of Campus Operations. And what an honor that was to do that. And now here, managing enrollment and connecting families, and leading the registrars on a day-to-day basis. It's a privilege, and it's an honor, and it's a very fulfilling career, honestly.
Yeah, you've been able to experience it with your own kids, and that makes it so much easier to make the case to other families about why they can participate in it, and you can lead by example with your team as they go out, and like Dahlia Harvey, one of your team members, she's wonderful. She's out in the community and is a great team member with us, like when we have our events and things like that. So, well, April, you mentioned about your own family. Actually, so Monet, you were also a Great Hearts parent. So I was wondering, can you share about like your kids' experience at Great Hearts? And then, but I really appreciate about this format is people get to share stories, and it's more than just looking at a list of books or looking at like a course catalog or something, but but like the kind of seeing students have those aha moments and those awakenings as they learn.
Yes. So I have had 3 kids come through the schools. I still have a 6th grader at Monte Vista North. And yeah, it's hard to pick a story because there's a lot of them. And so I thought about, like, with my own kids, kind of stories on 2 sides of the spectrum. So something that happened recently, my younger daughter, like, asking her older siblings help with just homework and some different things. And just a couple of weeks ago, there was just like an impromptu poetry war in my kitchen. And my big teenage son is reciting Beowulf in Old English, and the like my daughters are trying to be like louder and more passionate than he is. And I'm just cooking dinner and listening to this, and it's just so lovely. But I also, like, the things that really have impacted me the most as a parent is just even just some of what I know I'm trying to do at home with who they are and who they're becoming, like knowing that that's being affected at school too. So, I have a typical teenage boy. I probably should have asked him before sharing this story, but he's very, very talkative, extremely social. And he had gotten, like, I don't know, maybe 2 detentions in a row for just talking and talking and talking and talking when he's not supposed to be talking. And I'm telling him, you have 2 educator parents, like, teaching is a really hard job. Like, you know when to talk and when not to talk. And he's a teenager. So teenagers just, naturally are going to interpret things through their teenage lens. And so he was, pushing back a little bit and saying, no, I wasn't talking when, whatever. But he came back about 30 minutes later. He came downstairs and he was like, I realized that I'm just one of the leaders in the class. And if I am doing anything that I shouldn't, even if it's little, if I'm causing any kind of disruption, like I'm signaling something for the class, and that's not okay. And I get it. I get the detention, Mom. And I mean, that's just really powerful. And I'm not saying stuff like that happens all the time, but like to happen anytime with a teenager, I just, was like, yeah, I'm really proud of you. That's great. That's wonderful. And then I have just really, like, cute stories, not about my own kids, but, one story that I share all the time when I would give tours is I had a, just group of kindergartners as an assistant headmaster that I got to know real well. And we were about 6 weeks into school. And it was during dismissal, and there was a bunch of kids lined up to go to our Athenaeum, our wonderful after-school program. And 2 kids in the front were having a little argument. And so I went over there and just said, what's going on? And one of the little boys said, she keeps cutting in front of me. She is not showing humility. And I just was like, okay. I think you're right. And I think you need to show some humility and let him have his place back. And I just was like, man, this 5-year-old, 6 weeks into school, is getting what humility means through the stories and the conversations, and able to apply it and talk about it like that. So it's just, those are the kind of things that, like I said, I didn't have this, like, I'm going to do these leadership things, that I just would become more, I would see these things and just think, man, this is a powerful, beautiful thing that's happening. And I want to stick around and keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah. When you see those insights happening, like in kids' minds, right? Like a teenager making realization. And my son got detention. My son got sent to the principal's office. I think that's one thing that, as part of like acclimating to being a Great Hearts parent, is that you realize that your child being disciplined is not the end of the world. And it's actually part of kind of a learning process. And like as parents, we need to kind of learn Great Hearts customs and learn like when not to freak out, but also like keep the channels of communication open, with teachers and with administration, just so that we can understand. And then, kids, they really do learn from it. They really do get insight. Yeah. April, do you have some stories to share? Also?
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on that a little bit. The virtues with Great Hearts are something that was extremely attractive, and it's been something that has been consistent throughout the 7 years that my daughter has been going to Great Hearts, and just so proud of the person that she's become as a senior, and then now she's the example to her younger sisters, and that it's a beautiful thing. Those 9 core virtues of just, I think we can all agree that we want our kids to have courage and integrity and wisdom and friendship and citizenship and I can't name all 9 of them off the top of my head, but I think we can agree that is really important, and ultimately, to find a community like this that we're all working together to raise our children. These teachers are helping me raise my girls, and that is just invaluable and priceless. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, well, I mean, parenting. It's hard enough, but we need allies, right? We need teachers in their lives who can also act as role models and and show demonstrate the kind of behavior we want our kids to learn from. I think that's part of what makes the Great Hearts teachers such a really special group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want to ask next. As I was preparing for this, I was thinking, okay, well, what's new? Kind of what's changing? But it's that there's a number of campuses that are expanding into high school or adding more facilities for high school, schools that are going to have seniors for the first time. So I was wondering, Monet, can you comment more on kind of that growth aspect and maybe what is high school culture like at Great Hearts? Because maybe families they often make changes more at the elementary level, but there's benefits to staying with Great Hearts culture longer, because then your kids get the full experience in high school.
Yeah. The thing that, one of the things that stand out to me the most about our high schools is just that they are small communities. There's a lot of attention and a lot of care. It's just harder to get at really, really big schools. They're also full of great teachers. There's just a lot of kids there. And I think that's something that makes our high schools unique, is just the size and the bond that the classes can build together. One thing that I really love about our high schools too are just kind of the responsibilities and leadership that they get, that's woven into the high school experience. Sometimes just in really fun ways, and sometimes in really intentional, more traditional kind of leadership ways. So some of our high schoolers are mentors to our 6th graders and other new students that come in, and they meet with those students throughout the year. I know my oldest, who's now 18, when she was in junior high, she had a mentor that would give her insights about participating and just connecting with people in her class that were new. And so that's something that I really love. But also any of the field days, just some of the events, the older students are just captains and role models. And you always know who the high schoolers are in your upper school because they are wearing a blazer. They have a blazer ceremony at the beginning of the year. And they are looked to. Those are the examples, at school. And just some of the unique coursework they get, like humane letters, which is a blocked class. Is a significant amount of time. It's a seminar-based class. And if you look at our reading list through our high school, it's impressive. I mean, the students that go through the entire program just the breadth of what they will read and discuss is really impressive. The fact that they will write a senior thesis and they will defend it in front of a panel. I mean, these are really unique experiences that our high schools offer. And there always are challenges, like as we're growing and we have some schools under construction, some schools that are experiencing things for the first time, but we have really, really hardworking and creative headmasters that are super, super committed to their students having a great education and a great experience. And so, you know, where there are things like building challenges, we're making it work. And yeah, I mean, it just really tour the high schools. It's impressive. They're just an impressive group of kids.
Yeah, you mentioned the headmasters. I feel like the group of headmasters in San Antonio right now is a very special set of people. I met some of them at the Texas Charter Schools Conference in Austin, and I was just thinking, like, wow, like these are very dedicated people, and they're dealing with, you know, a certain kind of like change and disruption. And I know like Live Oak is adding a gym, but in the meantime there's sports teams. That's one thing about Great Hearts is, like, you know, like there's a really robust athletics program, but then you have to find a place for the kids to practice and to play. And so until the buildings get built out, you have to get a little creative about where to play, where to practice.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I can't say enough good things about the school leaders. I mean, it's our headmasters. They are all in every day.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Let's see. Okay, so I think next question I'll kind of throw out to both of you guys. And April, you may be able to comment on this more, because like I'm thinking like how it's hard for me to kind of put myself back in the shoes of, like, you know, in 2011 when I heard about Great Hearts for the first time, and then I was trying to wrap my head around. It's like, okay, it's a great book school, which I had researched, like great books four-year colleges when I back in the dark ages when I was looking at colleges, but the idea of this in a K through 12 program, and in a public K through 12 program, like that it took a while to wrap my head around that, and then just learning. I know there's an adjustment period as parents find out, like, what is classical education? How does that apply to students in K through 12? So I don't know, how do you answer those kinds of questions to parents who are doing school research? So I mean, April, you can comment first, and then Monet, you can weigh in.
Yeah, there is a lot to learn with who we are, and we have a lot of resources on our website. So ultimately, I encourage everybody to dive into the websites and of the campus of their choice, and just look at those the videos of parent testimonials, and just our classics to keep for K through 12. Our classics to keep are the rich literature that we offer at every grade level for the students. And other ways to research, we encourage tours, as you mentioned, Inga. All of our campuses will have tours during the month of November for open enrollment, and just so that parents can know what they're signing up for, what they're applying for. It's the best thing you can do is peek in a classroom. If you have an entering kindergartner, peeking in and watching them do the unique spelling that we have called Spalding. Where are they going to be playing on the playground? Where are they going to be having lunch? All of those things, we really encourage you to take a tour. So also just talking to another Great Hearts parent. We have Great Hearts parents all over the city because we have so many students. We have about 8,000 students in San Antonio alone. Our population is over 12,000 because we have schools in North Texas as well, and Great Hearts Online. But just about anywhere you go, you can find a Great Hearts parent and talk to them and really pick their brain on it. So we definitely encourage that. And as well as just calling our main San Antonio enrollment line. You call the home office, you're going to talk to an enrollment specialist, and they can answer all the questions that come up for parents.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I want to echo. I go to the website is great. Getting to going to an information session and being able to visit a campus. Monet mentioned about the high school too. Like, so if you're able, even if you have young kids, but you can visit a high school classroom and observe what a humane letters, Socratic seminar is like, then you get a sense of like what it's building towards. Like, I remember when my son had Emily Sullivan as a teacher, right? In late elementary, she's an amazing, I know she's with Great Hearts Online now, but that gave me a sense like, oh, I can see this is like a waypoint from, right? The kids, like they're, doing Spalding and stuff, learning the phonics like at the early stage. And then like they're starting to learn those discussion skills and the book annotation and stuff. And then you can see what it's leading towards and like how independent and how poised the junior and senior students are. So, Monet, do you have anything to add about like how parents can do research about Great Hearts and understand what they might be getting into?
I mean, and I'll just highlight a couple of just high level things because it's a particular education. And so, one of the things that April mentioned was our classics to keep. So we have a canon of literature. It's truly a canon in our upper school. In our lower school, children's literature has not been around quite as long, but those are still really carefully crafted novels that we're having the students read or that we're putting in front of them. And what we're discussing in class are things that are I feel like I'm kind of a little tired of saying they stood the test of time, but they've stood the test of time. They've been around and they're still having the same powerful impact on readers. I'm always like, parents, read those classics to keep with your kids because it won't even matter if you read them when you were a child. Like they're going to impact you in a whole new way now. And so there's a lot of things that don't come into the classrooms and into the curriculum. And it's not because we don't think it's valuable. It's just part of a classical education is we are exploring things that have a very specific purpose. There's a very specific thing that happens when you read Where the Red Fern Grows. And we also, we want our students to have a really broad historical context. And so in addition to covering, what the state of Texas requires, all of our students are going to spend quite a bit of time on medieval history, on Roman history. Those were some of my kids' absolute favorite, long units in history. When our students are in science class, we want science to be about seeking truth and rooted in reality. So, a lot of our science classes, the students are heavily observing things and discussing things and trying to come to understanding through those observations and the discussions. Like another thing that we talk a lot about is Socratic teaching. And again, just giving students questions and things to observe to get them to a place of truth and understanding, and letting them stumble along the way, and having to take risks and course correct and just find that truth and then become truth seekers themselves. And so I think those are some of the things that are kind of unique about the classical model. It looks very similar in math too, where we are presenting things to them, and there is definitely direct teaching that happens too, but we're presenting things to them and seeing what they can figure out, seeing what they're able to discover and what they're able to test. We ask them to explain all the time. How do you know? Why do you think it's that way? We want all of our students to, really have a lot of experiences in speaking and in listening. It's part of the seminars. Like we want them to eventually get to a point where they're having a conversation. They're not talking at each other. They're not just waiting to have their say, but they're deeply listening to the other people in the room and responding in conversation, building on observations and discoveries that other students have made. And yeah, I could go on about a lot of things, but I think those are just to highlight some things that make it unique and special if that's something that you're looking for. But as April said, read, look at the things that the kids are reading. Really go on tours and see what's happening in the classrooms.
Yeah. When you mentioned about students learn to slow down and listen to each other, right? Not just try to, I'm going to make my point. I'm going to get my say.
Yes.
And then one aspect of that as well is that because the students they're observing, they're interacting with each other, they're not spending as much time on screens.
Yes.
As what happens in other schools. And I know that's something that parents it comes up a lot in our Facebook group. Parents are concerned. They're looking for things like nature schools or like which it's not a nature school necessarily, although that bug project in middle school, there was a lot of nature involved in that.
I'm about to have to do that for the third time of opening my freezer and jumping and being like, oh, it's just the bug project. There's just a bunch of dead bugs in my freezer.
That's right. Okay. Has anyone told you about the blacklight hack? I can explain this when you get offline. No. Okay. I'll explain about the bug. Okay. So, but it's great because kids, in our house, we do have screens, but I knew that at least when they were at Great Hearts, they were learning actual cursive handwriting, and they were learning to make eye contact and really listen to each other.
Yeah, that's something I deeply appreciate about the model too, that it's just the blanket expectation or the phones are not going to be out. And it's very, very rare that students are on any kind of technology device. Teachers use technology, to project things, and but it's just not a part of the school day. All of our kids are pretty tech savvy outside of school. They pick everything up real fast. I'm sure, I would ask my teenagers for help with things that they could figure out in 5 seconds, even though they weren't educated on it. But yeah, during the school day, it's not just that there aren't the distractions of it, but it does just foster a lot of interaction when there is nothing in between you and the other person and you and the teacher. It's just really peaceful. It's just peaceful not having technology in the building in that way.
Yeah. Well, so I always close these things out by talking about the nuts and bolts, where's the website, what are the dates? But Winnie, I wanted to give you a chance if you wanted to comment any more about your specific role for special student services. Is there any encouragement you want to give to families? I know as the parent of a special needs child, there were times where I felt like doors were closed on me, and I felt like once I got to grade, and it wasn't always smooth sailing, but the communication was always there, and there was always a belief that my son had potential, and that was very meaningful to me.
Yeah, and I think just to highlight our school leaders again as well. They're deeply committed to the success of all their students. It's a hard job. It's a hard job to have the success of all the students. And one thing, Inga, that was so wonderful about you is you were a really communicative parent. We didn't have to wonder if things were okay. You came to us about things that were good, and you came to us if there was something that you thought needed to be fixed. And and that's always what we want to do. We want to serve all of our kids really well. One thing I have seen over and over again, because most of my roles were with special student services until I moved into, actually, even when I was assistant headmaster, I was still the 504 coordinator. Just students that did not expect things of themselves. And by the end of a year, by the end of 2 years, sometimes took a little bit longer, they had developed in ways that I don't know if people would have predicted. We just kept those expectations there, and we kept doing things to close the gaps, and kids would just rise to those expectations. But we're also aware that students have individual needs, and we need that. It's just important that we meet those needs. And one thing that we talk a lot about, as we're training teachers and coordinators and administrators, is Mortimer Adler, who's just one of the big thinkers that we follow in the classical world. He talks about that there's the cream of education, and the classical education is this cream of education, and everybody should get some cream. and we give you as much as you can take at a time. And that's what we're trying to do. We want to balance the expectations so that our kids that are struggling don't feel like they're constantly experiencing failure, but that we believe and therefore they believe that they can continue to make gains that they don't think right now are possible. And that it takes the teachers and the administrators and the parents and everybody working together. And it's hard work, but it's really, really good work. And it's the work all of our schools want to do and are doing right now.
Yeah. And our best experiences were with teachers who always kept their eye on the cream, right? The best stuff, and wanting to make it accessible to all students, but also could find a little bit of flexibility. Like, so if my son could not stay in his chair, but he was listening, or if he wasn't looking at the camera, but he was still taking notes, just have that a little bit of grace, and each student is unique. It's that flexibility, and I know it's so challenging for the headmasters, and it's so challenging for each teacher, to be expected to meet, all the different needs of the students in their classroom. But that's what makes their job so important, and what makes the Great Hurts teachers so special.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Okay. Well, let's see, April, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. And to talk more specifically about open enrollment and what families should do. Okay, so there's, go take it away.
Open enrollment begins next Wednesday, November 1st. We're very excited to launch the season, the 24-25 school year. So if parents have an entering kindergartner, then this is the time to get that application in. Anytime during the month of November, it goes through the 1st through the 30th. A full month of November is our open enrollment time. And open enrollment basically means you're eligible for the lottery, and all the applications collected during that time will be randomly assigned a lottery number on the day we run the lottery, which is January 24th, 2024. And then immediately following the lottery, we will send enrollment offers for the fall and fill the bulk of our enrollment in January and February. We will continue to send those enrollment offers up until the first day of school and beyond, as we have seats available. So we encourage families to apply all year round. In fact, we have some seats available in some of our schools right now, and so people that apply today can get an offer and enter even as early as now, or as late as now, however you want to look at that. So if interested, then it only takes 5 minutes to fill out the application. So we've talked about how to research Great Hearts and classical education, and so what we would encourage is just you to or parents to fill out the application, even if you haven't completely done all your research or been able to take a tour. Go ahead and take 5 minutes to fill out that application, and just so that you can get that lottery number and see if you get an enrollment offer in January. So I will say we have 12,000 students, over 12,000 students with our North Texas schools and Great Hearts Online, and we've just offered this great education to so many students this year, and it's just so exciting. We'll have a lot of open for next fall as we grow in several of our campuses to K-11, to K-12, and things like that. So we just have more seats available, so we'll be sending a lot of offers. So
yeah. So the application portal is through Schoolnet, right? So
Yep.
greathearts.schoolnet.net. But I guess if folks can go to like a particular campus website, right? Like if they go to like the Great Hearts Northern Oaks, do you have recommendations about like where to go? I mean, obviously we have the enrollment guide blog post.
Yes. Our main landing page for new families is greatheartstxschools.org. So from there you can navigate to other campus pages to to look at specific our uniform guides and the classics to keep and things like that are posted for our current families. That's all part of the education, but feel free to go to this website. You can join our interest list. If you join our interest list, we're going to send you an email to let you know that open enrollment is here next Wednesday, and continue to engage with you and answer questions. However,
yeah, and find out about those in-person opportunities too. To go to information nights.
Correct.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, I want to echo what April said about like the application is quick and you can just get the application in and then continue to do research. So you don't have to have your mind made up, and you can apply to multiple schools. It's just, as soon as you know that Great Hearts is the right one, lock it in. Or if you do change your mind, release that seat, because there's probably a family on a waiting list that's going to be really thrilled. So I remember it was June 2014. I opened my email. I was sitting in my car at the McNay, and that's when I found out my son had gotten called up off the waiting list and would become a founding family at Great Hearts. And I pretty much cried because I was
you just gave me chills, Inga. I remember that day too. So
yeah, it's a really special feeling. Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Well, we've covered a lot of territory. We've covered like the nuts and bolts of how to apply, but also like the why, and kind of cast a vision of like what we hope Great Hearts scholars are becoming, what we hope they grow into. So. But it's been really a joy. Do y'all have any like closing thoughts, or just a sort of valediction as we wrap up?
Yeah, Inga, I'm just so grateful for you offering this platform for us to be able to speak with you today, and all of your school discovery days. We're going to be at every single one this year, tabling, so families are welcome to. I love it. Come talk to us at the tabling events as we continue to partner together. So
we got photobombed by my 8th grader. Yeah.
I love it.
Just thank you for your work, Inga.
Yeah.
Oh, I really appreciate that. Well, we're really proud to have Great Hearts at School Discovery Days, because families they come and ask. So if you guys weren't there, we'd be slacking. We got to include Great Hearts.
We got to be there. We're there.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all both so much. I really appreciate your time and just really sharing from your hearts and from your own stories about what Great Hearts means to you. All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
See you later.
Thank you.